Marathon is already getting patched just days after launch, and I think that says a lot. Bungie is already responding to player backlash around microtransactions, and they're also making some early gameplay changes to make the experience slightly easier. Reports on those changes say Bungie is adjusting things like objective readability, ammo, and med availability in some early game friction points. And honestly, after spending hours with Marathon, as someone who does not play extraction shooters and barely plays online shooters in general, I get why people are split on it. Because on one hand, I think Marathon is one of the most exciting, stylish, and genuinely different shooters I've played in a long time. But on the other hand, this game is absolutely not beginner friendly. It does not hold your hand. It does not ease you into the experience. And whether you're fighting the AI, trying to understand the flow of a run, or getting deleted by other players in 5 minutes, Marathon makes it clear immediately that you're going to earn everything. And somehow, I'm still having a blast. What makes the conversation around Marathon so interesting right now is that people are trying to use the player count as the whole story, but I don't think that's enough. On Steam, Marathon hit an all-time peak of 88,337 concurrent players on March 6th after going live on March 5th. That's a strong launch number, even if people are now watching closely to see how it holds. But numbers alone do not explain why the reaction feels so mixed. The bigger issue, in my opinion, is that Marathon is asking a lot from players right away, especially if you're new to this genre. I played on launch day with complete strangers and also solo, and as somebody with basically no extraction shooter experience, I actually had a really good time. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the tension, the chaos, and just the feeling of loading into a run. That feeling never gets old for me. Every time I enter a map, there's this rush. The audio is incredible, the visuals are gorgeous, the tension is real, and the whole thing feels so distinct that the best way I can describe it is like an online roguelike shooter with one of the strongest identities I've seen in a multiplayer game in a while. That's part of why I have such a hard time understanding why some people bounce off the art direction so hard. I think Marathon looks amazing, and more importantly, it doesn't feel like it's trying to look like everything else. But as much as I like the style and the atmosphere, I also noticed something pretty quickly. The game got harder for me over the weekend. And I don't just mean hard because the game is designed to be punishing. I mean my runs started feeling consistently tougher as more players put in hours, got more comfortable, learned better techniques, and then started optimizing how they moved through matches and how they fought other players. That matters because for a casual player or a total newcomer like me, the experience does not just stay hard. It starts to feel even harder as the community gets better. And I think that's where Bungie may need to pay the most attention. If Marathon wants to keep newer players around, especially solo players, I think the matchmaking and overall solo experience need more support. Because in my experience, solo players are definitely at a disadvantage in a game that is already brutal by design. The game is very fun with friends. It's fun with random teammates too. But if you want to enjoy Marathon alone, or you simply do not have people to play with, the experience can start to feel unfair pretty fast. That doesn't mean solo play is impossible. It just means the punishment hits harder. And I think that's what makes Marathon such a fascinating game to talk about right now. Because I don't think the problem is that the game is bad. I think the problem is that the game is demanding. And a lot of people are used to getting instant comfort from shooters they already know. They already know the maps, the guns, the flow, the movement, the rhythm. So when a brand new game comes in and asks them to slow down, learn, fail, lose gear, and build up that confidence over time, a lot of people are going to reject that before they ever really give it a chance. That does not mean every criticism is wrong. I actually think a lot of the criticism around friction is fair. Bungie itself published starter tips telling players to conserve ammo, knife low-level enemies, pay attention to exfil timing, and learn where crates and containers are likely to spawn. That alone tells you this is not the kind of shooter where you can just run forward and expect the game to carry you. So if you're new, the best advice I can give is this. First, focus on contracts. Contracts give you purpose while you're still learning the shells, the maps, and the overall rhythm of the game. And one thing I really like is that once you complete your contract objective, it still counts, even if you don't make it out alive afterward. That's one of the fairest progression choices in the game because it gives newer players a way to keep earning XP and moving forward, even while they're still getting destroyed. Second, use free loadouts while you're learning. This helped me a lot. One of the most frustrating parts of Marathon, especially when you're solo, is going into a run with good equipment and then dying almost immediately. But using free loadouts changes the emotional math of the whole experience. If you entered with nothing, losing doesn't sting nearly as much. And if you survive and extract with loot, the dopamine hit feels even better because you turned a free run into something valuable. Third, if you're playing solo and want the lowest risk way to learn the game, I honestly think Rook is one of the smartest options. Rook is designed specifically for solo play and is limited in a way that actually makes it useful for beginners. You can't bring in gear from your vault, and you can't complete contracts with it, so you're giving up some progression and customization. But in return, you get a much safer environment to learn how runs work, how to move through the map, and how to focus on simple survival and extraction. GameSpot's shell breakdown also frames shell choice as heavily dependent on playstyle, which matches my experience. And Rook has one really cool advantage. You can disguise yourself as UESC enemies temporarily, which lets you blend in with the AI and sometimes get around the map in a much safer way. That can be huge if you're trying to learn without constantly getting punished. Outside of Rook, the two beginner-friendly shells that make the most sense to me are Assassin and Thief. Assassin feels great if you want survivability, stealth, and confusion tools. Smoke, invisibility, and the ability to disrupt line of sight can save your life constantly. Thief makes sense if you like movement, loot-focused play, and escaping bad situations quickly. Being able to see loot and enemies through walls and use mobility tools gives you a lot of flexibility. And honestly, that's another thing I like about Marathon. I don't think all shells are about one clear best pick. I think it depends on your playstyle. Some shells feel better in a team, some feel better solo, some make more sense if you want to fight, others make more sense if you want to survive, loot, and get out. So I don't really see Marathon as a game where one shell is the answer. I think it's more about understanding how you want to play and building around that. That's also why I think the comparisons to Arc Raiders are doing Marathon a disservice. I haven't played Arc Raiders myself, so I'm not going to pretend I can compare them directly from experience. But from everything I've seen, Arc Raiders is viewed as more casual and more approachable, while Marathon is clearly much more aggressive and punishing by design. And that's okay. Not every game has to be for everybody. What matters to me is whether Marathon feels like it knows what it wants to be. And to me, it does. It feels unique. It feels bold. It feels like Bungie actually took a swing here instead of trying to make the safest possible product. Do I love every part of the game? No. Do I think it's incredibly difficult for someone like me, a complete newcomer to extraction shooters and online FPS games, to get consistently good at? Absolutely. Do I think solo players are at a disadvantage? Yes. Do I think Bungie still has work to do if they want this game to keep more casual players around? Definitely. But am I enjoying the process? Absolutely. And I think that's what I keep coming back to with Marathon. A lot of players want a brand new game to give them the same feeling as the shooters they've already poured hundreds or thousands of hours into. They want instant confidence, instant mastery, instant reward. Marathon doesn't really give you that. It makes you uncomfortable first. It makes you learn, it makes you lose, it makes you adapt. And for some people, that's going to be the exact reason they quit. But for me, that challenge is a huge part of why the game feels special. So no, I don't think Marathon is perfect. I do think it's too harsh for a lot of new players right now. I do think Bungie needs to keep improving the beginner experience, especially for solo players. But I also think Marathon is one of the most exhilarating, stylish, and different shooters I've played in a long time. And I'm really glad I gave it a chance for myself, instead of just deciding how I felt based on the internet. Because even with all its problems, I get it. And I think the people who get it are going to have a very hard time putting it down. Have you tried Marathon yet? And if you have, do you think Bungie needs to make it more beginner friendly, or should the game stay this brutal? Let me know in the comments.